Hey everyone, welcome back to Stories Beyond Borders. In our first episode, we heard what life was like growing up in Cuba. But every story has a moment when things begin to shift. In this episode, we move into the part of the story where staying no longer seemed possible and leaving became a real decision. Some moments are filled with uncertainty, some with courage, and some are memories that only make sense years later. For me, this story is also personal. The people you'll hear in this episode are my own family. My abuelo, mi tío, and my mom, sharing their memories of what it was like when everything in their lives began to change. This is the chapter where everything started to move beyond borders. What led you to starting to think about leaving Cuba?
I think that when I growing up, when I start to go in the middle school, I start to think that what's going on is not right. I think the system is not right. I was declared myself like dissident when one day they want to sing the international, and one part the international say, no God, no burgers, and I say, I can say that because I am believer.
Yeah.
I believe I am Christian, and I want to keep my believer alive. And I said, something wrong, something not going right. But I try to understand that maybe I was wrong, and maybe in the future be better. But now.
Oh, okay. So you believe that there was something just wrong in Cuba and you were thinking about leaving?
I was thinking at that time that the government was doing something wrong. Yeah. The government is not doing something right because you are a child, you don't have the capacity, to thinking about everything. But when you grow in, you could see more and more and more. And when they say, what's going on?
Right, okay.
I start to ask myself, what's going on? That you sacrifice and you don't have nothing. You going to college, you got graduated, you got diploma, you sacrifice and nothing. Okay. And one day you say, what are you doing? So you have to find another way.
Yeah.
to find another way to find better way to live. Maybe you don't know, but the life in Cuba is not the normal life. Like maybe in different countries you call normal. Now you have the house, you got a job, you got a family, you got friends. Well, Cuba is not this kind of country. In Cuba you got some house in the same neighborhood that these people is vigilant. They watching you all the time, 24/7. And they call CDR, Comité de Defensa de la Revolución. That called no revolution, the involution. Because the revolution never was revolution, but involution, going back. And these people work for the government. Yeah. You have, my mom, we don't have coffee enough, but she got a friend that live in the Sierra, in the countryside. Yeah. And she came to visit us, and like a gift, she brings some coffee. But the coffee, raw coffee, that need the process, But my mom had to wait at the middle of the night to put the coffee and to toast, you can say toasted the coffee. Because the smell, if the people in the house smell the coffee, they can go to your home and call the police. You see the kind of life? Everything is like, don't say. And still when you come here to US, because I got some friends in Miami, they want to talk friendly. And people say, no, people, we are not in Cuba. We are in free country. In Cuba, hey, don't say ay de cabeza. Everything is like, because the police can grab you and put in prison. Even for no reason sometimes. Okay, it's communism. And the communism down.
Okay.
Down, 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 down.
How did you plan leaving with Abuela and your kids to leave Cuba?
Well, something that is interesting. I don't have, at that time, I don't have family member in U.S.
No.
No.
Okay.
But in 1989, I told you, thinking and thinking, in Cuba appeared that we call the Human Rights Committee. And I started to find out who they are. And I become part of this, the Human Rights Committee. I don't know if I can mention name, but maybe don't mention right now. I started to do stuff with the Cuban Rights Committee, and one day they start the political police in Cuba follow you when you are the kind of people that don't agree with the government. I start working in the hospital. Some people that I don't want to mention name come to me and say, hey, somebody can hear asking about you, what are you doing? And I say, oh, maybe they know that I am part of the Cuban Committee Human Rights. And I said, well, whatever could happen, I accepted what's coming. But it was intense, the persecution. Even you can get out, you go to the church, you can, because all the time they follow you everywhere.
Right.
And one day I decided to maybe escape.
Okay.
One day they say, I had to escape.
Yeah. So, how were you planning on leaving Cuba? How were you planning on leaving Cuba? What was your escape? How were you going to escape?
How I get to my escape?
Yeah.
Well, a group of friends thinking that we had to go, we had to do something. We can keep going in this situation, and we planned to get out by boat. But failed.
Okay.
The police take off. In the almost going to the sea at night, and everybody running, everybody watching, and the police take you handcuff, but that happened.
So
that time I went to prison. I was in prison for this reason, to try to escape.
For making, did Theo come with you on that night to leave Cuba with the boat?
Who?
Theo? Luis?
Louis, the only. My daughter stayed home and my wife stayed home. They don't know what's going on, But I want to say Louis because in Cuba, when you are 16 years old, you have to go to the military service. Obligatory, mandatory. You can say no. And I don't want he go. I say I save him for the military, and later Maria daughter can join us. This is the way we're thinking, but the plan will fail.
Yeah. So then, how did you actually leave Cuba to go to America? How did,
Well, when I went to prison, they sentenced me to prison. I never been in prison. It was hard to be in prison, but But you meet some people in the same way. Oh, you are here for this? Yeah, you're here for that. And I found a friend that had asked me one day, what do you want to do when you get out prison? I said, well, I don't know what can I do, because maybe my hospital give me the chance to start over, but maybe they say, no, you can't. And that was exactly happening. When I get out, they say, no, you can't work no more here. And I say, why? You were in prison for politics. You have to get out. I said, well, I can survive. I got a family. I had to pay, food, everything. And this friend say, well, will you plan later to get out? You can go to U.S. And I say, U.S.? I am 38 years old. I think it's late. He said, no, never is late. He gave me some encouragement, He said, he never is late. I say, what do you think? He said, I give you an address for some institute that you can ask if they can help you. And I wrote the letter to the institute. And this is Metropolitan Institute St. Louis in Missouri.
Oh.
And I wrote the letter to them. They answered me. I still keep the letter here. I never get rid of this. And they say, yeah, we can help you. The decision is in Havana Consul. They decide the visa, who come, who not. And we wait for the answer for the consul. I want to say thank you to many people that helped me. Member of the Cuban Rights Human Committee. I want to say thank you to the Sun Party in Cuba at that time. That all of them helped my family to get out. And I want to recognize them all the time. I got chances, I say thank you to them for. Well, but one day I received the message in the mail that the consul say, you ready for interview? And I say, it's unbelievable. I can't believe it that I can go. And when my family prepared, dressing presentable to go to the embassy. And when we went to the embassy, the consul say, you raise your hand, and you sworn, and you are ready to go. You are resident of the United States of America. Thank God. Save me. Well, and when the consul gave me the chance to swear about the flag of the United States, it was very emotional. I can be honest with you, I feel very emotional because I love US. I love this country. I am Cuban. I never denied to be Cuban. I born there. But this country opened the door to me and my family. And we can live it almost the same way the American people ever live, Well, they say you are acceptable. Talk about before, I got the message in mail. We had to prepare paper, passport, certificate, matrimony certificate, different paper. When you got all of the information, you go in again, and they say to you, you got a ticket for this day and ready to fly. But something happened at that time, We got a hurricane in Florida, Andrew. The name was Andrew. And I called to the embassy and I said, maybe the flight is canceled. And she said, no, Miami is okay. The flight is okay, on time. And I said, well, okay. We take a little suitcase with some clothes, some important memory item, and ready to the airport. And you went to the plane, and I remember my wife say, pellizcame, wake up, you got it. You got it. I say, yeah, we got it. But I say, let me tell you something. When the plane fly and take off, I am more sure, because maybe sitting here, the police can come and say, hey, come in. But what was I very thankful every day. Every day, every minute, every second. Even that something happened, but.
Yeah. Did you have any plans leaving with your family too? Did you have any plans of bringing your family to
America? Well, the problem is that you maybe had a plan, but all of them is old. I am the baby with 73. All of them, some passed away, and the only two, they are 78. And here too, only her. A different life, different way to live, language. Sometimes, you have to think when you made that decision.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's like you live in one place the whole life, and one day change like that abruptly. They decide to stay.
Yeah.
I heard now and then.
Yeah. What did you think when your dad said that he was wanting to leave Cuba?
Right. So, well, I remember growing up, Abuelo was very always glued to the radio. So there was a thing called Radio Martí, which I think it was broadcast from, I think, Key West or Miami. I'm not sure. But anyway, so I remember him, he would go to work, he would come home, and then he would sit. I remember him sitting on the desk and then always listening to Radio Marti. But Radio Marti was a clandestine radio station. So you couldn't get it with the old regular ways to get a radio signal, especially that far from the United States. So I remember like him making like makeshift antennas, you know what I mean? Just to get the good broadcast so you can understand what they were saying, you know what I mean? So I remember him listening to that. But yeah, I think the circle of people that he got together with, they never were in accordance with the Castro regime. They were always like talking of ways to leaving the island. You know what I mean? They were always, there was always that talk, you know what I mean? And not only in our family, I think the census around the whole island, everybody was like, we need to get out of here. I remember there's a word that we use a lot in Cuba, la yuma. La yuma, it's what we know here, the United States. So like when we were talking to people and just in passing or just to be fun, we'd be like, oh yeah, maybe next year I'll go to La Yuma or yo me voy pa La Yuma, meaning, like I'll be out of here, I'll be leaving, you know what I mean? So yeah, that was always, the census in the islands has always been to leave the island because no matter what the Castro regime tries to control as far as information, we always knew that life outside of the island is better than life inside of the island. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I don't know if it was discussed. I just remember that, it's been a while. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was discussed, My mom, your grandma, she was around during that time. So I'm pretty sure there was discussions about, hey, I'm thinking about, leaving and this is what we're thinking about leaving. I do remember one story Abuelo told me one time was, I think it's the 1980s. There was a big exodus of Cubans that left. So I think it was the Castro regime in the 80s said, we're gonna open the gates and let people leave the island to go to the United States. So at that time, I think I was like maybe 1 or 2 years old. And I remember Abuelo told me the story that he told my mom, your grandma, hey, we should take this opportunity to leave the island. But I was so young that, grandma did not want to take that chance. I mean? So she was like, no, he's too young. And we didn't know anybody, you know what I mean? We were basically, I didn't even know at that point how is it that we were going to make the 90-mile stretch from Cuba to Key West. I didn't know how that was going to happen. But I remember that time that, my mom was like, nah, I don't think this is a good idea. Let's not do this. Let's not do this at this time. And so I think that's always kind of been his thing where it's like, I tried in the 80s, I'm going to try it again at some point in the future. And so I think he waited until I was old enough for him to make the decision like, okay, your mom, my mom, they're gonna stay in the island and then me and you, we're gonna take a raft or a boat and try to leave the island, you know what I mean? And the goal was for that. The goal was for us to leave and then establish ourselves in the United States. And then once we establish ourselves here, then we were gonna sponsor your mom and grandma. We were gonna sponsor them over to the United States. So yeah, does that answer your question?
Yes, that does.
Okay.
Yeah. Tell me the story of the night you and your dad planned to leave.
Right, so it was at night. I remember that. We were waiting for, obviously, because nighttime is low visibility, so it's better that way. So it was at night. I remember laying flat in a truck because what we did was we put the vessel in the back of a truck and everybody that was part of that exit, we were all laying flat. So the only thing you could see was just the very top of the boat. Even though the boat was upside down. You could see just the I don't know if you call it the trim. I don't know if that's the name of it. But the center part, right. So everybody was laying flat on the truck. I do remember that. And then I remember that it was dark, it was rocky, because we had to carry. So once we put the vote, that's one thing that I think what happened was in our attempt for us to put the vote from the truck to the ground to carry it over to the shores where we were going to drop it off, I think the boat dropped. And so, because it was heavy. It was heavy, and I think either it was miscommunication. I don't think a lot of people had, there was a lot of things going on, and it was miscommunication. I think the boat got dropped. And I think what happened was when the boat got dropped in that rocky area, the boat got damaged. We didn't know it at the time. We were like, okay, it's fine, let's just go. Because the thing is, you want to take advantage of the night, and you want to take advantage of whatever dark area, you know what I mean, that you had, So I remember that the boat got dropped, and then we hurried up to get it in the water. We put it in the water, and I remember that once we put it in the water started, I think, coming in. And I think at that point, there was the decision, somebody made the decision like, this is not gonna go right. Like we're gonna have to postpone this. This is not gonna go right. I think at the time when that took place, that's when the Cuban Coast Guard kind of like surprised us, right? Yeah. So they had spotlights, you know what I mean? Right, and so at that moment, think about it, like at that moment it's pretty much everybody for themselves, you know what I mean? It's not like, I'm not saying that there's no honor among thieves, but it's kind of like, you're pretty much on your own. You're gonna save yourself and try to get away as much, So I remember everybody, drop everything they did, and everybody just took off, you know what I mean, in different directions. I remember Abuelo, he wore glasses. Yeah. Yeah, so I think his glasses dropped in the time that we were trying to get away from it. His glasses dropped. So I remember, I think he couldn't see. There was no way for him to see. So I remember that, I don't know if I was guiding him by hand or I was telling him where to go, but we were trying to hide. Once we got away, we found some bushes, and we were trying to hide from the Coast Guard. Right. But at that moment, the Coast Guard knew where we were. I mean, pretty much because of the spotlight, they kind of knew the general area. And I remember them shooting flares up in the sky. So they shot flares up in the sky, and they, I don't know if they had AK-47s or some sort of rifles, but they just started shooting up in the air to kind of like, hey, come out. If you don't come out, we're gonna shoot at the bushes to, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, I think at that moment, oh, wait a minute, there was a lady. Forgot about this lady. There was a lady that lived right where we were hiding, and this lady, well, en Cuba se le dice chivadona. This lady told the Coast Guards and the police where we were. Yeah, so this lady was like, hey, no, they're over here. And so that's how, I think at that moment, that's when Abuelo was like, let's get out, because if we would have kept hiding, it probably would have gotten worse, you know what I mean? Like deadly force and things like that. So I think it would have gotten worse. So yeah, so we got out, and then he got apprehended. And then not only him, like there was a group of people that also got apprehended at the same time. I remember that, that it was a scary night, because, that was the first time that I was exposed to like live ammunition, like shots and things like that. Right. And then, and then the flares, that was another thing. So but it was a scary night. But that night, I think he was apprehended, and then I was not put into handcuffs because obviously, you're too young. And then I was returned back home where grandma and your mom were, right? Yeah. But he was kept behind, right? Because of, right. He was kept behind.
What did Abuela think when you would have told her, like, Dad is put in jail or something?
Well, it was not, it was a hard time. Yeah, it was a hard time because, I mean, she wasn't expecting to see any of us. Yeah, you know what I mean? She was expecting that the next time we hear from you, you're going to be 90 miles from here. Yeah. Like you're not gonna be here back in the island, you know what I mean? So I think that's what happened. Yeah. So she saw me and she was like, wait a minute, like what, what's going on? So I do remember that. But then yes, he was apprehended. I was returned back home And then after that, he, was incarcerated for a year, right? Was it a year? I think it was a year. Right, he was incarcerated for a year, and then he got out, and then after he got out, he became a political refugee, and then your status in the country changes when you become a political refugee. So, and then he started writing. I think he started writing letters and petitions to like different countries and different embassies within Cuba, because there are embassies in Cuba from other countries. So he was trying to petition to them, and then. One of them that answered was the American embassy with Amnesty International. Yeah, Amnesty International. Yeah. Yep, Amnesty International. Yeah. They sponsor us. They were the one that sponsored us here. Yeah. So, so all of this happened after he served that 1 year in jail. So, I mean, nothing happened while he was in jail. I mean, like I went back to school. Everything was going, my mom went to work, and we went to visit him in prison and brought food and things like that. Because life kept going. It just was his status was the one that changed because of what he attempted to do, which was leave the island illegally, I guess, according to the Castro regime. Right.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
That does answer my question.
All right.
What did you think about leaving your family and friends?
Right. So I remember. So once we received the news after, because we had to go to the embassy, the American embassy in Cuba. We sat down with the consul, and the interview. Obviously, Abuelo and Abuela. The interview was like very quick. It was a very quick interview, and I think to our advantage, the good thing that happened was. Both Abuelo and Abuela are highly educated. They got their education. They went to the University of Havana. So I think that's what kind of catapulted them once they sat down with the consul. And the consul looked at their background and their education. I think that's what catapulted them, their application to be sort of faster, sort of like make the process a little bit speedier, you know what I mean? So I remember that we went and did the interview. I remember we were all dressed, real nice. Even your mom, she was dressed like, like she had a dress on, but you have to dress nice and your hair is done. And, you try to present yourself. It's kind of like a job interview. You're trying to present yourself the best way possible because you want to get the job, you want to get the access, I guess, or, But I remember we went to the interview and then we went back home. And then I think it was like 3 weeks, maybe 2.5, 3 weeks. I remember he got a letter from the, in the mail, letting him know, that everything was approved and blah, blah, blah. So at that moment, it was like excitement. I mean? Like the whole household was buzzing. And not only the whole household was buzzing, the entire neighborhood was buzzing. I mean, I remember the night before we left, the whole neighborhood came out and everybody was like giving us hugs. And everybody was like, oh man, I can't, I'm so happy for you. This is great. Like don't forget about us, just, the things that you would say normally when people are, when that the thing that you're coveting the most, they got it and they're about to embark and then start on a new life. You know what I mean? So, but the entire neighborhood came out. Everybody was really happy. And, I don't think anybody slept the night before we left. I mean, everybody was, just really excited.
How much did you know about your father's plan to leave Cuba before you left? Was it a surprise, or did you know it was going to happen for a while before you left?
No, I had no idea. So, I remember saying bye to my dad, but I thought they're just going to go out and they'll be back later, right? I don't remember what was happening. No one told me. I could understand why, because in Cuba, everything is washed. You can't just... Anything that you do, there's someone in the neighborhood that would report back to the government what you're doing. Right? So you certainly don't want to tell a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old what you're doing, because that 6-year-old without her knowing. She's just being a kid, right? And kids just say things. You don't know if she might say things. The only thing I do remember is the night that my brother came back, that he was brought back to the house that night. I do remember like sitting on my mom's, because that night me and my mom slept together in the same bed. So I do remember waking up. I do remember someone knocking on the door. I remember my mom answering the door. I remember her telling me to stay right here, like stay on the bed, and then like I'll come back. She left, and then I remember the sirens, and there were like huge sirens, like you get like boop, boop, you know, like the sirens were not very loud, but you can kind of hear it. But I do remember the lights, because the lights were really bright, and they were like, you know, the police lights, like the red and the blue lights that spin around. So I remember that. I remember just like the flash of the lights like against the wall, like every so often when they would spin around, and it just lasted a while. I just remember like being there and being like, wow, this is taking a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I do remember seeing my brother coming with my mom, and I do remember him crying. He was crying and having me, which makes sense. You are 13, you don't know what's going on. Your dad just got arrested. But I remember that. I remember that specific moment, but I don't remember anything outside of it.
Right.
Like, no one told me anything.
So I understand that Abuelo went away to jail for like a year, right? So how was it like when he wasn't there?
Well, so I remember writing letters to my dad. I don't know if he kept any of them, but I remember writing letters to my dad, and I would say to him like, I don't know, I would say to him like, oh, please come back. You know, we're gonna behave better. Like, I think I thought that like we might have done something to not have him there. And then like I would say like, we will behave better, we will do better, like please come back. We miss you, you know, things like that. But I do remember writing him letters. I do remember visiting him in prison. That was scary. Or inside the walls of the prison. And then picnic tables, like for lack of a better word, like a bunch of picnic tables with, and then one picnic table will have like your entire family.
Right.
I remember like going there and visiting him, and my mom and my dad would like be talking about things, right? Which totally understandable. But I just remember like being like uncomfortable, being in there, you know. And I just remember like the uncomfortable feeling. I also remember that I had some kind of like stuffed animal or doll or something with me, because I just remember carrying something like this in my arm or something walking around. But like I don't remember what it was. It must have been something just, probably my mom gave it to me, I'm assuming, because just to keep me like to soothe me a little bit as I'm like being in that environment. But yeah, I remember visiting him once, definitely. I don't know if we did more than that, but you know, I remember visiting. Yeah.
Okay, so what did you think about leaving your family and friends?
So I did have friends like in the neighborhood, but like as a kid, and we left. I didn't start 4th grade, even though we came in the beginning of September of 92. I never went back to school. Like once I left 3rd grade, I didn't go back. And I think the reason was probably because we were leaving. So I'm sure my dad was like, what's the point if we're just leaving anyways, right? I don't remember like saying bye to my friends. You know, I remember like playing, and then like I would say, okay, good night, bye. But like, to be honest with you, I don't think I ever understood or knew that I was leaving Cuba, right? So like, to me, I was like, okay, bye, see you tomorrow. And, you know, and that's what happened. But, you know, you're young. You're like 8 years old. So I guess like you think, oh, I'll just make friends somewhere else.
Yeah. How was the life with your family when, you know, if you missed them or when they came over to like say bye or something?
So I don't know all the details. Some family members were like really excited for us. They were like, oh my God, we're for you, thank goodness that you're getting out of here. And hopefully you have a better life. Some families were really hurt, you know, because they didn't know what was on the other side, and then like also the government, all governments, not just the Cuban government, but the government is very good at propagandas, right? Like saying things, oh, this is going to happen if you go over there, or something like they might rob you, or they might treat you wrong, or people will have certain prejudice towards you because you are not American, things like that. And I'm not saying that like parts of it is true, sure, but you can't paint everything the same. Like my experience is not the same as some other 8-year-old girl experience moving to the United States, right? So I would say they were definitely concerned about our future, and hurt because they didn't know if we would see each other again, or what was going to happen. So
how did you actually get to the United States if it wasn't by boat?
Yeah, so we applied for visa, we got a visa, and I just want to emphasize this because Cubans had a different structure of visas to come to the United States than any other country in the world. And the reason is because the United States is very much against communist government. So for Cubans that want to leave, they have special process. I don't know if it's a special visa, I don't think so, but the process is different. So just for the mere fact that we were Cubans, we got treated differently, let's say, than someone that's like from Lebanon, or probably even Mexico might have a different jurisdiction. But so from that aspect, we were lucky, right? Because then that means that our process moving through getting a visa is way much easier than someone from a different country. So my dad applied, he went through the process. He had to have documents for both Cuba and the United States to be able to go to the United States, to be able to leave Cuba and go into the United States. There was a plane. The United States did sponsor us. So the organization did sponsor us and pay for our plane and, our apartment and all that stuff. You do have to return the financial investment that they gave you, but they were sponsoring us, right? So we were able to come to the United States in a more
better way?
Yeah, in a better way, or a better word. So we got on a plane, and the plane went from La Habana to Miami, which is like 30 minutes. I don't even know. It's not very, because they're not that far from each other. And then it was from Miami to St. Louis. And then we arrived in St. Louis late at night. So we left in the morning, and we arrived in St. Louis. It was late. I just remember being night when we walked out of the airport. Yeah. So.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Stories Beyond Borders. Hearing these stories reminds me of how difficult the decision to leave home can be. For my abuelo, it meant navigating complicated systems and facing serious consequences just for trying to leave. For my tío, it meant living through moments of uncertainty where everything could change in an instant. For my mom, it meant holding on to memories of home, her neighborhood, her family, and the night they realized their future might be somewhere else. These aren't just stories from history for me. They're a part of my family. In this story, an organization called Amnesty International helped my family during their journey. Organizations like this work to support people whose rights and safety are at risk around the world. If you want to help families like mine who are going through situations like this today, you can donate to the organization Amnesty International. But leaving is only part of the journey. In our next episode, we'll hear about what came after, what it was like for my family to arrive and begin settling into life in the United States, and the challenges of starting over in a completely new place. This is Stories Beyond Borders. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.